Hi everyone! So in this video we are going to figure out whether or not you are an empath. And so it's going to have two parts. The first part is just going to be what you're probably suffering from most of the time. So some common symptoms and issues and what you're dealing with all of the time in a negative way. And the second part is going to be 4 main characteristics of an empath. And so this might help you to know, because knowing is half the battle when you are an empath, because then you can, then you know why all of these things are going on and why you feel these ways, and B, you can start to learn to kind of manage and cultivate your life accordingly and not just feel like everything is out of control. So starting with just a short list of what things you might be suffering from. I am recording this in the evening, so forgive the lighting. It's a little different look than my other videos, but I felt inspired to record right now, so here we are. So things you might suffer from frequently, that are your common feelings of stress, would be, one is just like overwhelm, energy depletion. So you're just like energetically depleted all the time. Overwhelm, meaning emotionally overwhelmed, similar feeling, just like, not similar feeling, but emotionally overwhelmed, right? You just feel a lot of feels and are not sure where they come from or why you're feeling them. You may feel over sensory stimulated frequently, like kind of frazzled, like your circuits are broke, you know how that feels. Those are kind of feeling states. And then also you may just have no boundaries. So you don't know how to say no. You don't like saying no. Or the flip side of that is you're a people pleaser. And then the last suffering you may have is that you might just be easily manipulated, easily taken advantage of. People suck the energy from you, so any of those things, if you fall into a lot of those categories, if you're constantly depleted, if you're constantly feeling overstimulated, if you're constantly getting yourselves into these situations with people where you're like, oh my God, why did I say yes to this? Or why is this person talking my ear off and they're not someone I need to know all of their problems, all of these things. You're probably an empath. You don't know it yet. You don't know how to manage those sensitivities. So that's one thing. The next part is kind of 4 main characteristics of being an empath. And so I'll just go into them. So if you fall into these categories, most of them, then you probably are an empath. And so we'll get into that. But the first one is you are just highly sensitive overall. So I do have another video on being a highly sensitive person. That is a thing. Most empaths are also highly sensitive people. And what that means is you just have very nuanced senses, very delicate senses. Your 5 senses have a low tolerance, a low threshold for overwhelm. And so where most people can handle maybe like this much auditory stimulation or visual stimulation or temperature wise, heat and cold, you can only handle like this much of it before you hit a level of great discomfort, pain, feeling overwhelmed. So if you Google highly sensitive person, there's a whole nother slew of characteristics that you might have, but it is a thing, and many empaths have those sensibilities. They are just audio sensitive or visually, or even textures. How their clothes feel may or may not bother them, and so they have to buy certain types of like really soft clothing or soft blankets or things like that. So highly sensitive. The second one is you probably are considered, like in your life, you're like that nurturer listener person. So if people all of your life have been going to you, telling you their problems, you know, you find yourself at work situations being the one where people come to your office to like ask you advice, like you're the counselor, you're the wise person, you're the good listener. People feel like you really care about them and you really care about their problems and you really care about their pain. And in many ways and levels, you probably do. You may not have the capacity to fix it. You may not even have the capacity to offer advice. They may not even ask advice. They may just come and like vent to you. But you're that person. You have like a nurturing listener type of personality. And everyone kind of knows that. And so that's a second characteristic of being an empath. The third characteristic of being an empath is that you need a lot of alone time. You may be technically an introvert. You don't have to be, but you might, either way, you might need alone time to like decompress from the overwhelm that you experience. So, you know, need time alone in your home, need time, quiet time, time away from other people, other people's energies, noise. You kind of like recharge by being alone. You decompress, you kind of let it all go, and then you kind of recharge yourself by being alone. So, and a lot of us, you know, spend time alone in our homes, or we might spend time with nature, or maybe you spend time with your cat or your dog. This is also this wasn't like on my technical list, but empaths usually have really great affection, really intense connections with animals. And so that might be your way of decompressing alone, is being with like your pet, because sometimes it's like they're the only ones who get it. So yeah, needing alone time, to recharge, to decompress, things like that. And then the fourth sign of being an empath is that you have like a fine-tuned intuition. And you may not know this yet. This is why I'm kind of making this video, because if you have these problems and you have these gifts, you may not realize that they all kind of go together, and it means you're actually an empath. So you probably have a very like delicate and fine-tuned intuition that you may or may not listen to all the time. And so this might show up as you can feel other people's like emotional states. Like you can tell if something's wrong with someone. Even if you don't know them personally, you can feel that energy that like they've had an off day, or they are angry, or, you know, you can almost read somebody's emotional state energetically. You sometimes have hunches, and you sometimes follow them, and you might not, but like later you might have been like, oh my God, it's exactly what I thought was going to happen, or that's exactly, you know, what I thought about that person, and it came out to be true. So your intuition is finely tuned regarding other people or things outside of you. But it also is something that you might lead your life with. So you, instead of always making decisions based on like logic or pros and cons, or like, you know, what like normal people might do, you have made decisions in your life or moved through your life usually based on a feeling, on a resonance, on your intuition. It's more of like a feeling movement. And again, at this point, if you don't know that you're an empath, you haven't, you know, like really fine-tuned all of that, you may not actually make those decisions. Like you may like feel that urge, but then like kind of your logical brain takes over, and so you're like, no, I'm not gonna go and do that thing that I feel called to do, or like, no, I'm not gonna like say this to that person. So you might have the intuition and like hear it, but then right at this point your logic might override it, and you might just like do the other thing that is more like socially acceptable or whatever. But if you have that, if you feel that, and those hunches have turned out to be right, or you've like regretted not listening to your intuition, at least you know it's there and like it's moving. And I'm here to tell you that usually if you start following that, like things will open up for you. But that could be a whole nother video. So yeah, those are the things. So if the problems I mentioned in the beginning and the characteristics that I just went through, the 4 characteristics, if they are all describing you, then you are probably an empath. And Empaths, as a general definition, what that means is that you are sensitive to energy, to the energy of everything. And so this means other people, it means their emotional states, it means even the energy of a room. That could probably be listed on another list somewhere. Like, you can read the energy of a room or feel it when you walk in. Whether or not there are other humans in there, you may be able to read a room of humans, but you may, even if you just walk into someone's house, you can kind of feel the energy of the house, things like that. So, yeah, so if you didn't know you were an empath and this video was helpful, please let me know. I am a soul coach for women. I specialize in empaths and highly sensitive people because I am one, and I've done it all for myself. Like, I've been walking this way for a long time, and so I know what it feels like to have these like symptoms or stressors and feel totally lost and overwhelmed and like, why am I feeling this way? And like, you know, having these issues with people, and you know, there is an answer, and there are ways to really honor your sensitivities and honor your gifts as an empath. Learn how to appropriately make boundaries for yourself in your life so that you can like hone your energy into the ways that you want it to be given in the world, you know, so you're not just like wandering the world and just kind of your energy is just flowing out of you without your permission almost. And really, as empaths, you know, these are our gifts, and this is what I have learned to hone and cultivate, and I think it's what all empaths are called to kind of hone and cultivate, and they can be used in so many areas in life, you know, but they are not meant to be like ignored or suppressed, and you know, they're meant to be known about. Like, this is why I'm making this video, and this is why I've made the highly sensitive video, because I know what it is to suffer these things and like have no idea why, and so it kind of helps to be like, oh, this is a thing, and like I am that thing, and there are reasons for why I'm feeling this way, and there are ways to properly manage it so that I can move through life in my sovereignty. And I always talk about like energetic sovereignty, meaning like I know where I get my energy from, and I have the sovereignty of where I give that energy and to whom I give that energy and how, because I know how it works through me. And that, you know, even because being exposed to the world and other people can be draining for us. And that's like a interesting concept. But, you know, when we're around a lot of people or, intense energies, it might not even be a lot of people. It might just be one person with an intense energy. You know, if we don't know how to manage ourselves and our lives to harness and hone our own energy and like be in our sovereignty, then when we're around people like that or around lots of people, it will just flow out of us. We will lose it. We will lose our life force. And that's what feeling depleted is. Our life force has been drained from our bodies, from our energetic bodies. But there are ways to seal that in. There are ways to have sovereignty over it. And so now, like, I can go out in the world, I can go and be with people, and firstly, I choose who that is, and I say no, and I don't make excuses. But secondly, when I do go out in the world and I am with people, those types of people and those interactions have no effect on me. They don't like overtake me how they used to. Yes, I still need alone time, and I love alone time, and you probably will and or do. But like, you know, because my life is balanced in a way where I'm always honoring and always like filling my cup first, then I can go out and like the world doesn't have such a scary effect on me. I used to like be afraid to go out and like not want to do a lot of things out there because it was like so freaking overwhelming and so draining that it wasn't worth it. But now it's not like that anymore. And that is because of the things I've put in place. And that is what I do for women, for my clients. And so, yeah, I hope this video was helpful. If you know someone who probably has these situations, please tag them below, share it with them, let them know, you know, I am putting it out there because I want to help people, because it's been a game changer for my life. And so, yeah, please share this information out. Thank you so much for being here. Always, all of my Instafam, Facebook, you know, if you watch all of my videos, if you hang in there until the end, I really appreciate you, and honor your energy, and just you being here means so much to me. So thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Have a blessed night.